Hello, Perceptive readers. This is James Lynch. How are you doing? I hope you had a very nice rest. Um, some of you already has been, several hours into the morning or afternoon. All the same, I hope you're having a fine day. Today happens to be Monday, and I was thinking about a certain subject. It's on the prophecy note, and I wonder, would this be too uh, heavy for a Monday morning, type of discussion or a few thoughts? And it is something I want to talk about, but it may just be too heavy if you didn't have your cup of coffee. So I'm going to try to be very brief with what I'm stating, and if you have further questions, you can actually ask them at buymeacoffee.com, James Poeartistry. Okay, James Poeartistry. Now, in prophecy, it is very clear, according to the Holy Bible, that God is going to have his day of Armageddon. And it describes what will be the end result of that war, where you see he will have total rulership, where really Jesus will have total rulership of the earth again. Okay, there are already prophecies that mentions he's basically ruling from heaven. It started from the Christian congregation, really, all these years that he set up, that he's been the king over that, okay, the Christian congregation. But then what will actually happen after Armageddon is that his authority will be felt and experienced everywhere over the whole earth. You see, all the vestiges of his enemy and enemies will be gone away after that. Okay. So we know that God actually has a book up in heaven. His memory is described as a book, the book of life and things of that nature, that he writes person's name in there. And so, when you got a good name with God, his name is in his memory. Your name is in his memory, his book of life. Now, with that being known, you know how I say we know God's judgments are perfect, are they not? God's judgments are, you can just have confidence in them. You see, no doubts here or there. And so, I've emphasized at times that we know God is perfect. We know his holy word, holy Bible, express all his perfect ways and his judgment. And I said the motivation, the honest motivation, you see, that everybody should have who actually read that book and grow is to imitate him in all his ways, even though we just can't do it perfectly, or sometimes really nowhere near, especially when it comes to his judgments, you see, especially when it comes to his judgments. And you can really appreciate why Jesus said, stop judging, because he already knows in our nature what comes out of, our judgments at times, which are very hypocritical, you see, and can actually condemn the innocent, you see. Uh, that's why there was just strong encouragement as well, uh, to make sure we're not accepting bribes, you see, being susceptible to bribes and things. And so, that's why I get into the Paul, even he made a tent, you see, to take care of himself. Uh, that's why there's encouragement in the Bible that, God was saying, you pay the person their wages, you see, etc. And so, with that being said, God's judgments on who will go on to live forever and who won't, see, will be fulfilled. Even persons throughout history who have had their lives, uh, whether they fell asleep in death or they were cut short, God still has them, you see, in his memory, in his mind. Like Abraham, see, um, Isaac, Jacob, such ones will come back and be on this earth. Isn't that interesting? Well, some of our grandparents, great grandparents, etc., they will also be returning back on this earth. Okay. So now we're down to this situation of the ones where we're living during a time period that Jesus talked about. We would never have to taste death at all, like everybody else did, because we happen to be living, if you want to call it, at the right time, when God sets up his kingdom on earth, his will being done on earth as it is in heaven. And since there's no death, in heaven, you see, there will be no death on this earth, you see, anymore once he totally through. So we'll be growing back to perfection, you see, where we won't ever die again. Now, human race won't die again, you see. Now, with that being said, this is my point about the heaviness of it all, is I would say hopefully no one would pick up the attitude where they're already thinking that certain persons, I mean, even in the faith, that they're actually already prejudging, see, whether that person, that man, that woman is going to be in God's new world, and have already started ostracizing, if you will, which has happened. See, that's what I'm talking about. Have already started ostracizing persons, you see, even in a technology way, even in I say it's in the matrix. It's in the matrix. I'm telling you right now. So it can be in such a way where there are some individuals walking on the earth right now. They really are. Some good-hearted individuals. Uh, they won't hurt a fly, etc. But because they just don't fit into the skill set or personality or what have you, you see, of what they're looking for as far as what is the perfect human society, then already it's like they're not really being included in this type of setup and arrangement. But it's, for some, it's being done secretly, like a secret society, so to speak. But it is being done. And so you have certain persons that, yeah, right now, see, this is happening on a human level for some persons, that they have really put themselves and included themselves in still to a certain structure where even God's, Jehovah God's wonderful people are actually, not all of them are not even included in it. And I find that very interesting. Why? Because there are certain persons that I know from their spirit and what they're really trying to do. And I say they are covered by the blood of Jesus Christ as well, that they most likely, will be in God's new world or in heaven one. I just know it, from my heart. I can't say anything definitely yet. In closing, this is what I want to say. See, and this is what I mean when I say human beings will judge and condemn a person that even Jehovah God hasn't judged or condemned. So when God's day does come and some of all this high technology goes into, I mean, long range, millions, billions of years in effect goes on. You see what I'm saying? Because that's one thing that I told you that I'm thankful to Jehovah about. And maybe in a few cases, my enemies, I've been able to at least continue to learn about some of the technology of the future. And it's not like, we're going to be all dumbed down and go to caveman times or what have you. Not saying that we have all the, the entertainment aspect of things that we have today, because I know, most like that'll change. But as far as a lot of the technology, you see, uh, travel systems, etc. Oh yeah, it ain't nothing wrong with using it. It's like it'll take a burden off the horses and the elephants and stuff. But let me move on. But that's what I just wanted to share this morning about the future, which is a bright future. And I would just say, imagine how God would feel, though, that he already has a person in his heart, you see, his mind, that he want to see there, be there. So they're going to be there. We already know, as I told you, persons like Abraham will be there. But imagine Abraham's enemies never did like him, or some people never did like him. I'm just using this as an example. And can you imagine how they wouldn't want to see Abraham in that new world? So they wouldn't include him in their matrix, so to speak, of technology and resources or what have you. And yet God would. See, isn't that interesting? So you can just imagine how that would make God feel to have, again, another person or other people condemn his friend in ways that he hasn't condemned him at all. That's something to think about. Take care.